YouTube link really quick. All right, Instagram's actually cooperating and giving me the go live. All right, 1 second, boys. All right, posted that out. Let's get into it. Hey guys, Daniel here. Welcome back to the Veganless podcast. This is episode 9. We have Michael here from the Bowtique. And this week we also have the new Veganless intern, Andrew. And as a little bit of a hazing, we're actually having him lead the podcast tonight. He doesn't know it.
Nope, definitely not.
No, just kidding. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, bud.
I'm Mike. I'm the owner of the Bowtique. I do custom arrow wraps for individual sale and for businesses.
Perfect.
Just Andrew Peterson here. Just a pipe layer trying to make the dream happen. So nothing crazy.
There we go. So I always like starting these out with a new piece or a piece of advice for a new hunter. So I'll let you go first, Mike.
Oh, man. I would say hunt for yourself, not for social media.
That's a good one. What about you, Andrew?
Just have fun with it. Just do what you think is best and just go with the flow.
Not a bad piece of advice. So, as you guys know, we love just BSing hunting. So, I want to hear, do you have any memorable hunts? Like, what's your favorite hunt that you've done, Mike?
Man, so it's weird. So, like, ever since I became a father, like, I don't know if you guys have kids or not, but, like, priorities really shift. So for the last couple of years, my oldest son, I've taken him out every youth weekend for a majority of October. You know, by the time like middle of October rolls around, they're already so over it. You know what I mean?
Patience, yeah.
So this last season, I took my oldest son out, and I think it was like October 10th or something like that. It was still early, and went out. I shot a doe that morning, dropped it off. I called my wife because it was still like 9:30, 10. I was like, get him ready. Like, we're going back out in the woods. So sure enough, we got this little crossbow for him. So he grabbed his crossbow. We went back out into the woods. I'm maybe 15, 20 yards away from where I just got this. I mean, the gut pile was still there, still hot.
Right.
And sure enough, we were sitting at the base of this tree for like 15 minutes, and this tiny little spike comes in, and I looked over at him, and he was just he was so jazzed. You know what I mean? His gear, like,
amped up.
Yeah. So he shot it, and oh my gosh, like, it was, I mean, like, I cried for a week straight, I feel like. It's like,
right,
just seeing my son fall in love with the outdoors and that pursuit, like, that was it. So, like, moving forward, like it's been such a big thing. Like my second born, he shot a turkey this last spring. So like it was a big year for last year. So to say one is more favorite than the other is unfair.
Yeah, for sure.
Just insane.
What about your own hunts? Do you have a memorable of your own?
Yeah, I mean, I would say honestly, probably my very first turkey hunt, probably, because like I was
Mhm.
late into the whole turkey hunting thing. Like I was,
Mhm.
it was all about deer and just that pursuit.
Yeah.
Turkey never really got me going. Just the thought of it
Mhm.
until finally, I mean, probably 7 or 8 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna try it. And sure enough, like I was at it for almost a week, and finally, because I only bow hunt, so
Mhm.
um, that was a big thing. So calling one in, drawing your bow back, and then cutting
Yeah.
your that was
A
insane.
lot of factors to go right for that.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
100%,
Were you in a blind or were you just on the ground when you did it?
dude, on the ground.
Oh man,
Which
man,
is
hats
like,
off to you.
yeah, man, it's a weird flex for sure. But ever since then, like, you know, there's always that debate, like, well, you're not turkey hunting if you're in a blind, or you're not turkey hunting if you use decoys. I'm like, all right, well, go out there with a bow and arrow and tell me, like,
Yeah,
tell me. Uh,
yeah.
so I do use decoys, but it is such a different world. Like it is a different sport than deer hunting. But ever since then, I've just been like, if I had to choose, I would turkey hunt. I'd give up deer hunting to turkey hunt.
Crazy.
Yeah.
No way.
I will say though, turkey hunting's pretty fun too though. Like I think it's great because you have deer hunting in the fall, turkey hunting in the spring really kind of helps break up, that non-season depression we all get, right? So
Absolutely.
Pastime,
great.
good pastime for
I
a whitetail.
Yeah, I'm new to turkey hunting as well. Well, you're not anymore, but you get what I'm saying. I was late to the game. It was just nothing that really intrigued me for the longest time. And then last year, I'm like, let's give this a shot. So back at it, trying out some new broadheads this year, doing
Yeah.
it with a bow as well. What about you, Andrew? Do you have a favorite hunt? Let's hear it.
Honestly, a couple of them come to mind, but one of them I'll share for sure was youth hunting. Got when I was just getting into it, had a shotgun. Uh, was down in southern Iowa. My uncle always brought me down there, but dad would always come down with as well too, and bring the RV, and he'd kind of be like the cook and hang out.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm not trying to call them out, but I think they got into the BV a little bit one night, and woke up the next morning early, and the uncle was like, "You guys just head out," and he's like, "I'll see you back at noon." And go figure, we were sitting there, and I look over. We get in, get sat down next to some hay bales just on the ground, and have a little like fork buck that had a little bit of velvet on him come in.
Mhm.
And I look over at my dad and I'm like, I'm going to shoot him. I'm going to shoot him. And he was full on asleep next to the hay bale. And went ahead. I just was like, I'm just going to shoot him. Went ahead, shot him. And he jumped up, like freaking out, like, what's going on? And I was like, shot a deer and ended up, going tracking and everything. But just,
Mhm.
it was just too funny because like,
He's
we
just
had,
hungover, snoozing.
yeah, when we hadn't been having much for luck. It'd been hot. I remember too. I mean, youth season, it's early, but,
Mhm.
nice little wake up call for him that morning. So, but yeah, that's probably one of the good ones that come to my mind.
Perfect. So you said, I mean, you're really enjoying turkey hunting. That's kind of taken your focus. Um, what does that usually entail? Do you do much scouting? Do you public land hunt, private? Um, what's kind of your, I guess, routine?
Yeah. So like, so I'm from Indiana. So
Mhm.
like here naturally I have, permission on private.
Mhm.
So like Indiana is, at least where I'm at, I can't speak for the entire state, but where I'm at,
Mhm.
in order to get to like a decent parcel of public, I mean, it's about an hour drive, and that's the case
Mhm.
everyone surrounding it. So ideal. It's not ideal, but everyone assembles in this one, WMA, and
Mhm.
it's so beat down, it's so pressured. So like, for me in Indiana, it's just for one safer to to hunt on.
You don't want peppered,
Yeah, I'm not trying to get put down the second I get out there. But so here in Indiana, I hunt private, and Indiana's to me, it's very late. It's a late season. It's always the last
Mhm.
Wednesday of April, which is, I mean, you have like youth weekend is killer. They're still on fire.
Mhm.
But if you're not on one by like opening day or that Thursday,
Mhm.
we'll come back, that first week of May, just,
Mhm.
when they're leaving their flocks again. So
Right.
it is rough in Indiana as far as timing goes. It's definitely possible. It's not like impossible, but
Mhm.
there's definitely a time frame to it. But for Ohio and Kentucky, I always hunt public down there. So, and there's an unlimited amount of WMA public properties to hunt
Mhm.
in Ohio.
Now, do you go hunt those destinations every year? Do you do one area per year?
Well, it's hit or miss. Like I said, I got, with the kids getting older, it makes
Yeah.
things a little bit harder, slows things down. I have a very supportive wife. Like she is super okay with all my adventures, everything I
Mhm.
do. So it's selfish almost to a point if I am like all over. So I
Right.
like to stay home. I like to help.
Try to be
But yeah,
mindful of, yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So in the past, typically is, I'd go to Ohio and then also
Mhm.
Kentucky. Both of those states, you literally get every penny's worth for your tag. It is a
Mhm.
lot. I mean, you're hunting like Kentucky's like what September 1st and runs or halfway through September and runs all the way to like February. Uh,
Mhm.
and depending on where you're at, I mean, you could shoot as many deer as you want to, pretty much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Then are you still actively deer hunting too? How do you split this? Do you do your turkey hunting and then do you do any off-season scouting or
I do. Not as much as I'd like to.
right?
I set cameras. I'm not as competitive about it now as I used to
Mhm.
be, like when I was younger. But and like the public hunting thing, it's one of those things. I mean, it's a can of worms. But once upon a time, you'd only hunt public when you don't have anywhere else to hunt.
Yeah. It's a buzzword now.
Now
Yeah.
it's like just keyword public land, keyword
Mhm.
Trend.
Yep, yep.
trendy.
Measure your dick size by hunting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get it. It's hard. It's competitive.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I mean, 2 years ago, I mean, I felt like I was miles into public. And then next thing you know, just like the property owner on the other side, they're just walking their dog. And it took me
Right.
hours to get here. And their dog's just like running around my tree. And it's like, okay, well, this is cool. But it's just not for me. Like, there's some I respect everyone. You know what I mean? I respect
For
everyone
sure.
who hunts, especially guys that are pulling monsters off public every year.
Mhm.
Man, that's
Consistent.
that's tough. Um,
Mhm.
and then too, like I mean, just equal amount of respect for the private land guys. I mean, it's a
Right.
different level of hard work. I mean,
Mhm.
you're growing your herd. You're
Mhm.
holding plots. You're spending that time or that
Yep.
amount of energy differently.
They both have their challenges and the hard work. I agree with that because, as you said, it's food plots or clear cutting, habitat management versus it's scouting, it's putting the time in and, trying to think differently than the million other public hunters. So
Yeah,
it's a lot of
absolutely.
work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. What about you, Andrew?
I mean, I got a nice piece of property now. I was able to get hooked up with after my uncle had passed away. Kind of didn't get handed to me, but more or less just my aunt came to me and asked if I want to take care of it. And I mean, of course, why not? But before that, though, I was definitely hitting a lot of public. I had a small private piece that I was able to hunt back behind my parents as a little bit younger too, but kind of falling more into the private now than and getting out of the public because kind of like you said, everybody and their dog wants to be hitting public. It's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
trend nowadays, and nothing against that. Just like you said, mad respect to the people who pull consistent giants off public, man. It's work. It's a lot of work. So trying to just make that happen on private now, kind of like you were talking about, Daniel.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm with you guys there too. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with hunting either or. They have their challenges. And for instance, my situation, and I mean it could be said the same for Andrew too. Our land's a little ways away. So my place is 2 hours or a little over, which isn't terribly far, but it's far enough that it makes going for like an evening hunt after work not really feasible, right?
Yeah.
So mixing in some public in the general area too is kind of my go-to right now. And then we both urban hunt as well. So
Yeah, I was just
we're doing
that.
the city hunts and all that.
I love my urban. Actually, like I wish we could urban hunt turkeys because my urban spot has some killer turkeys. I mean, like beard draggers, dude. But I mean,
Yeah.
I love the whitetail aspect of it for urban. It's a blast.
And a lot of people have things to say about urban hunting, saying, oh, those are pet deer, those are this, those are that. But you run into some things urban hunting that is very uncommon to run into anywhere else. Like the amount of times that I had a homeless guy come in and like, I don't want to say ruin the hunt because that sounds ungrateful. Obviously, I'm at a better spot in life or whatever. You know, we have our own challenges, but it's crazy the differences of issues you run into. Like, I guess first world problems, but like it's crazy just the difference. You have people walking their dogs, riding their bikes, you know, homeless guys, kids just running through the woods.
I almost have to say, I think urban deer, I don't want to say they're tougher by any means, but like I can truly say I've been probably busted out more times in my urban spot than I have probably on like public land. Just going in kind of thinking like, oh, I'm just going to play a stupid wind. And then, 200 yards away, doe's just making a fit, you know? And I'm like, well, sweet, this just blew up my night. So, but like you kind of said though, Daniel, like there's a lot of other, you know, challenges.
Factors.
Yeah.
I think just the randomness and the amount of like just crazy random factors play a part in it.
Sometimes I'm curious on like what it's like for the homeless person to like wake up and see someone hunting in his living room. You know what I mean?
Oh man. So I had back-to-back days and the guy didn't know I was there, guaranteed. I was up on the ridge, like above him, and he was walking the trail. Well, it was kind of like his little made trail there that the deer usually go in and out of in the bottom of the ravine. And it was right at 8 o'clock the first day. He pushes his bike across in front of me back into the woods. Or no, he left the woods the first day and grabbed his bike and left. The second day, he pushed his bike in, and then after a couple minutes I hear like thumping on wood, and I look over and I just see a puff of smoke. So I went back there, set up a camp, started a fire and stuff. But I went in there one evening after work and shed hunted a little bit, and I was back in the woods and I like cleared my throat, had a cough, and I hear, who's there? Like he's back there in his little fort, and he ended up like leaving the woods or whatever when I was there. But yeah, you never know what you're going to run into back there.
Absolutely not.
I'm pretty fortunate for my spot. I don't have too many homeless people run through there. Actually, this year was most action I had. I had craziest thing was I had a couple, I mean, who knows if they were crackheads, but I mean, they didn't look the greatest, but they came in on like mini bikes, like, you know, like a lawnmower engine in between, like one of those came in and they went and shot off like, I mean, 50 rounds of like a 9mm or something, some kind of handgun. I mean, and they started shooting. I was like, okay, you're going to empty. Like, luckily I'm along the river. They're kind of shooting towards the river, you know, and everything, nothing to where it should go bad. But like, I was like, oh, they're going to empty a magazine out. No. They emptied out a couple boxes, you know. I was just like, when's this going to stop? But sure shit, dude. I had a couple does come in, a couple 100 yards away or so, but like deer are still moving shortly after they left, you know. So
Yeah, it's really crazy just seeing, more and more homeless. Just we all know how the economy is now. It's rough on everyone, and it's nice. I'd imagine a lot of the states have it, but here in Iowa we have Hush, so it's like help us stop hunger or something like that, isn't it? So excess deer and such, which we fill our freezers with urban, and if we have excess meat, you can just donate it, and it goes to help feed the homeless and
Yeah, that's sick.
people in rough spots. So
That's really cool.
that's one thing we're trying to do here with Veganless too. So
Yeah, that's rad.
Mhm.
it's nice giving back. But yeah, let's see. So you do some deer hunting. Do you have any good deer hunting stories?
Man, I mean, no, it's probably no other story that's hasn't been
No.
told a million times. You know what I mean? I mean, we live in Indiana, like I said, so like it's a predominant rifle state. I mean,
Hmm.
probably a very bold statement speaking for the entire state. Like, I mean, it's all ag, flatland ground. Our firearm season lines up perfectly with the peak of the rut. So, like,
Roof.
I mean, come
Rough.
come the 14th of November, dude. Like opening day, it literally sounds like Normandy outside. So it's rough, but it's also cool in that other regard. I think if there's anything that like public lands taught me, it's like, especially hunting in Indiana as a bow hunter, it's get on them quick. Like
Mhm.
don't this whole mentality of this one needs another year when someone's papal is literally turning in their grave upside down, knowing that like we're passing 140s and 150s.
Right.
Like, so it's one of those mentalities that, to me, like any deer that's harvested with a bow it's a trophy. You know what I mean? Like
For
it's
sure.
easy. So it's, that's kind of where I stand with it. I mean, it's just all mostly rut stories. It's the deer that you never see
Hmm.
way bigger than it.
Hmm. I think in general, the whole trophy shaming is just a crock of shit, Like,
Mhm.
if it makes you happy,
Oh yeah,
go
absolutely.
for it, man. Absolutely go for it.
Mhm.
Like, it gets you going, absolutely harvest it,
Yeah,
utilize every bit of it, respect the animal.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, and
like, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, just the idea of trophy hunting, like 10, 15 years ago is so much different now. Like, anyone can go shoot a 200, dude. Like, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Like 15, 20 years ago, to shoot a 200, that was like
Huge.
unheard of. That was unheard of. But it happens all the time in every state, it seems like. And I'm not bashing trophy hunting, and I'm not bashing meat hunters. I
Hmm.
respect both pursuits. I'm not going to tell someone how they
They're
have
wrong, or yeah.
on their tag and what deer they should shoot. That's not
Hmm.
my place. That's not anyone's place.
Nope.
No, you're not paying for their tag.
No, I do firmly believe that they're bigger deer hold more meat.
Yeah.
Older
For
deer
sure.
have more meat, but
For sure.
people don't have the time to sit out in the
Hmm.
all the time. They don't have the time to scout season long. They don't have
Hmm.
resources or money to create food plots, set up
Hmm.
mineral sites, do burn offs. People don't have that, especially like
Yep.
in today's society in this economy, like to drop $500-600 on a plot, multiple plots, and
Hmm.
a lease of X amount of money. That's just not in everyone's pocketbook. So
Right. Yeah, it really comes down to your time, your budget, your desires. Like, some guys are working, multiple 12-hour shifts or longer, as you've experienced parenthood.
yeah,
Like, you have kids, your time drastically shrinks
yeah,
to get out. Really have to kind of utilize your time. So,
yeah,
Yeah, like I've always said, I mean, shoot what makes you happy, but just don't be the person that complains at the end of the day. I mean,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Totally.
So, I mean, you got to be happy with what you're taking. You're harvesting a life more or less. So, you know,
Yeah, always be
be grateful.
respectful for the life you take. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm going to keep pounding this into the ground as long as I keep seeing it. But I'm tired of seeing the post in the Facebook group saying, I know it's not the biggest, but
Yes.
like it made you happy. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
if you want to post it, go ahead and post it. You don't have to post it, but quit with openers like that. Be
Yeah.
happy.
You don't have to justify to make
Right.
other
Mhm.
people feel, better about
Yeah.
what you just took. You just got to be happy about what you harvested.
That is, I think, hands down, I think that is the biggest cancer of the hunting industry is that, like I was saying, like social media has just destroyed people's ability to enjoy their harvest. And like, I mean, I've fallen victim to it. I can't speak
Oh
for
yeah.
everybody, but at some point in time, you will fall victim to it, or you have fallen victim to it.
Mhm.
Because man, like you shoot a deer that's a whatever class, whatever age class or whatever, if it's a Boone and Crockett or a Pope and Young, people are just like, you have to hit the parameter in order for you to be able to post on social media, and that should never have ever been the case. Like that is the
Mhm.
toxic thing that I think us collectively as hunters have done, and that's not right.
Yes. We have enough enemies out there that we don't need to be turning on each other too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1000%.
I swear, Andrew could go post a 120. Like, look at this buck I got. And someone's going to say, oh, you should have gave him a few more years. Mike could go post a 200-inch deer the same day, and someone's going to ask how tall the fence was.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yep.
no, you're not going to make everyone happy. You should be doing it for yourself, no one else.
Yep.
For sure.
Mesa Outdoorsmen, hunters should stand together and not hate on each other. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's just a toxic, what the hunters have brought.
Masculinity. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pissing contest.
Yeah, brought to this. So, but,
Yeah, and see, it's like even like I said, taking your kids hunting, because like even though it's not youth season, or even if my kids aren't wanting to hunt, they do with me when I want to hunt. And in those regards, like that's 1000% never. That's 1000% never going to be the case on something that I teach to my children. Like I want them, like when they see that I'm excited about a deer coming in, it doesn't matter if it's as big as the one they saw on Drury Outdoors or like whatever the case. They saw that I was excited about it and that I made a conscious decision to take this animal's life to be able to bring it back into our home and
feed the family.
Yeah, to feed the family. And like ultimately, like at the end of the day, I'm not a hunter, I'm not an archer, I'm a father. And that's the biggest priority in my life. And that will always be the biggest priority in my life. And my job is to teach them how to be men in this world.
And I think the way this world is, it's more and more important to learn how to be self-sufficient and being able to provide for yourself when needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And be grateful for what you have, because it can go away at any time.
Yeah, I'd love to trophy hunt, but at the end of the day, man, I live off of these deer. I mean, if the freezer's not full, man, it's going to be an expensive beef we're buying to live off for the year, and to get these deer shot and processed and everything is a lot cheaper. So
it is.
I mean, hate to go that route, but
yeah, I mean,
healthier too.
It is, 1000% healthier.
Yeah. And to your point too, Mike, I was able to get my son out this last year. He didn't hunt for himself. He was teetering back and forth a lot on interest, and really had kind of an interest, but didn't quite want to do it himself yet. So I took him out. We threw up the pop-up blind, and we ended up filling an antlerless tag because I already got my buck opening day, and it was quite the experience. He's 10 now, and I had like a break from hunting while, going back to school, getting career focused and all that. So finally got back to it, got him out, and he came with me, and it was so funny. I wanted him to keep interested, have fun, right? So I'm like, hey man, like it's going to be boring for a little bit. Like if you want, you can play on your phone, you can take a nap, whatever you want to do, just be comfortable, be happy, whatever. And he goes, no, Dad, I left it in the truck because I'm here to help you. And he's like, and then a little later, it's just literally the two slowest days I've ever had at my farm. Like naturally trying to hook a new hunter, and I'm like, hey buddy, like if you want to take a nap, go ahead. Nope, I told myself I'm not allowed to sleep. I'm helping you. I'm like, okay, buddy. Gave him the binoculars, had him kind of checking stuff out, looking around, and we saw a buck. Obviously, couldn't harvest said buck because we had already filled our antlered tag, but at least got to see something. Next day, his patience was a little thinner. He's like, how much longer are we going to be out here? And it's like 8 a.m. at this point. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be here for a little while, buddy. Like, we're going to be here. Get comfy. Here's some jerky, like hang out. And then we had an antlerless come out and was able to harvest it. And he was pretty intrigued and excited for it. And then skipping ahead, I had him last weekend, and we were at Walmart, I think, walking around, getting some groceries and stuff. And he goes, Dad, when are we going hunting again? And I'm like, well, actually, buddy, turkey season starts Monday. And he goes, oh, I want to go. Because last year we were mushroom hunting, and he spooked a hen that was nesting, and it scared the piss out of him. Like, scared the piss out of him. So he's like, I want to go. Let's go. So apparently I'm taking him turkey hunting this spring. So excited for that.
Well, turkey hunting is exciting too, with like taking your kids, just because like, I mean, like, like I'm a first generation hunter. So like I wasn't that little kid on the woods with, dad or an uncle or anything. Like I have no idea what that was like. But I mean, like, it's nice for those mornings where it's, it's going to be a slow one, and thank God for tablets sometimes. Like I'm not ever going to encourage it, but like when you need your kid to be patient and quiet, like it's nice to have, the option to say, hey, like, let's watch a show for a little bit.
It helps them in the dull moments because they're going to think of that boringness, right? So like if they can at least stay occupied, like it's not a bad thing.
Dude. Like when I get bored, the first thing I do is pull out my phone.
I mean, just going to say that. Yeah. We just got the smaller tablets these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't quite relate to the kids, honestly, but I do have a nephew right now that I was putting one of my videos together and kind of showing the family and my brother. And his mom is a little bit on she doesn't like to see the dead animals, which I understand. But he was kind of looking, I kind of looked at her. She's like, he's okay. And I mean, just the questions rolling off. He's like, what's going to happen? Are you going to shoot him? Like, or, like, he hasn't really asked me like to go hunting yet, but he's been around me shooting my bow. I got him a little bow too. And he's always like, you going to shoot your bow whenever I come see him? And and I'm kind of hoping here in the next couple of years, we can maybe get him out, get him in a blind and let him start experiencing.
How old is he now?
5. I think he's going on, he'll be 5 this year. So, I mean, he's young. I mean, he'd definitely be anxious in the blind a little bit, but
right.
Give it a try.
I mean, we can get him out shooting too. I got my son into archery last year, and he's doing it in 4-H now and shooting some small tournament stuff.
Yeah, that's super cool. And like that's my biggest thing is like, if we, like you were mentioning how like there is constantly a battle between like our rights as hunters, and like the biggest thing that we can do is like build this sound foundation for like
educate the next generation. Yeah.
Because sadly it's not getting any popular. And like the simple fact is that, whether that be just taking your kids outside to go pick mushrooms, getting your kids, because man, like I work in a bow shop. I work, here out of the house. I do a majority of work for, the people in my area out of this house. I always tell people that a bow is just like, to say that this is a thing that we use for hunting, you are putting it in the smallest box possible. Like, forget that archery is an Olympic sport. Archery can be your kid's college. They can, like
Yeah.
if your kid gets an archery, they're not going to have money for drugs and alcohol, like 100%.
No doubt. No doubt.
So like, there's good positive things about, this industry. There'd be
The
hunting.
thing, yeah, the thing I love about archery too is it's really a solo sport. Like you form bonds with other people and you can shoot together and stuff, right? But ultimately you're competing against yourself,
Yeah.
like pushing yourself for improvement, right? So, I'm from small town Iowa and you play sports and stuff, like baseball, basketball, so on. And it's a blast. I played all the sports growing up, but in those small towns a lot, once you get into high school and stuff, it becomes a last name game. Who has more money? Who you get to play because, your dad bought the whole baseball team bats. Like you get to play because your last name's popular. Versus archery, it's you. Like not a damn person's going to tell you that you can't go up and shoot. And you can perform at your best ability, right? And like there's no arguing it, no disputing it. And it's not as big as these other sports. So I feel like scholarship wise, if you keep at it, self-discipline, like it can, as you said, really help pay for school.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not even like, it is not just a individual sport, but like never the competition against someone else. Archery is 100% you are competing against yourself at all times. And like, it is one of the original disciplines. Like, I mean, if you do the same thing every time, your arrow will not miss. I mean, it's
right.
that simple.
No one to blame but yourself.
Exactly. Every little thing you do directly impacts where your arrow hits, if at all.
And I think to improve, you really have to take mental accountability and mental discipline. And that helps you in so many other areas of life. It's easy to blame other things for your failures instead of taking the accountability. And with archery, I feel like more common than not, the longer you blame other things, like the longer your problems are going to exist. Like once you take the accountability is when you break through.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not saying I'm a great archer yet by any means, but like it's just how it works.
Yeah, like your $1,300 flagship bow is not going to make you kill a bigger deer. Like I promise you that. Your $600 sight is not going to make your pen float any less. Like it is such a you gain so much mental strength from like archery. Because man, like me, like what really dug it in for me, especially becoming an adult, getting, you start feeling the stresses of life, like becoming a father, getting married, you go from being a kid to having
bills.
Well, yeah. And like, even still to this day, the second I go outside and shoot my bow, like the noises of the world, like disappear. And like the only real time I'm able to feel like myself. And
it's literally like that TikTok where it's like all kinds of noise and clutter. And then you start shooting it just
quiet.
disappears.
It's my quiet place, man. It is.
Yeah.
You can have the
decompression.
Worst day. Oh yeah. Worst day and come home, pick that thing up, start flinging some arrows. And it's just like your problems kind of go away for that little bit of time.
For sure. And it's not even like you can pick up your bow and still shoot bad, but your day's not going to get worse.
Yeah.
No.
Jonathan Phillips, agree 100. And then over here on Instagram, Pocket Scout, teaching my kids this right now. Patience is huge. Of course, it's about harvesting an animal, but up until that point, it's about connecting with nature. It may be boring, but all of a sudden, it could be the best day ever, 0 to 100. Absolutely. It helps you learn patience. And, all of the odds in a day could be going against you. It could look absolutely terrible. You could have made mistakes earlier and it could all turn around. Like I say, you can absolutely study these animals, learn their patterns, so on and so forth. But in the end, they have free will. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah. Kind of going back to a little bit of teaching the kids ethics and everything about hunting, but like I would have to say, this goes back to my uncle with me. One of my big things is just teaching the safety as well too of not only bows but firearms as well too. Just showing like that you're taking you could take a life in an instant. So like they always push the hunting on me, but the biggest thing was safety. I'll never ever
Absolutely.
forget that. So
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that's so
I've been
huge.
working with my kids since day one on gun safety, handling, all of that. I sold dry fire training systems for quite a while. And for those of you that don't know, it's a little laser cartridge that'll go in your firearm. So it's popular with pistols. And when you pull the trigger, it just shoots the laser pulse. You'll have like a target and an app on your phone and helps, supplement ammo costs and stuff. But what I loved is I got to teach him handling, safety, form, all of that without live rounds. So really have driven that home. I feel absolutely confident that I could have something laying on the table and, it would never get touched because it has the respect for it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying to do that, but I think it's very important.
Yeah.
Like, confusion, I think, is the biggest thing that causes accidents.
Mhm.
Like, just whether you're for or against them,
Mhm.
like, educating, I think, is important. Like, and I think a lot of, honestly, the root problems between, anti-gun America or anti-hunting America is just not understanding. Like,
Mhm.
we can disagree, we can have different beliefs and stuff, but like, I try to at least educate if they're willing to listen. There's a lot of people out there that are just, they don't understand, but they're willing to listen. Like, there's a lot of people out there that don't give a shit or set in their minds, but there's a lot of people out there that will listen or,
Yeah.
absorb.
This is going to be a very probably bold statement, but like
Mhm.
over the span of humanity, like we are in this last second where it's no longer socially acceptable to hunt or to teach your
Mhm.
family or kids how to hunt. So like the idea that we have to educate people about what we do is taboo within itself. Like
For sure.
the education should be coming from the people who don't support it. Like educate me on why it's unnatural for us to harvest animals in the woods to bring home to our families. Explain to me why that's such a insane thing. Like why do I have to educate my rationality and why I'm
Mhm.
doing these things? We've been doing them since the second we've been created as a species.
Right.
So to me, it's all insane. Like that.
I agree, but man, there's so much in today's society that I could say is insane.
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah,
That'd be
that we have to
that'd be
agree
a
on.
whole other be a
Yeah.
whole other subject.
Yeah.
James says, "And Iowa has the hunter safety course you have to take." Yes, I took that the second that I could, and I've heard now that they're online, right? Like, I think it should go back to sweating in the classroom, learning, and then going out into the field next to the classroom, actually shooting. And, I remember, like, I think we took our guns with us and we did the classroom work. And then we went out there and, we practiced crossing a fence, practice shooting, just safety, all of that. I think that's important stuff.
Mhm. That's even like with my nephew. I mean, he's been around a few of the guns a couple times with me. Nothing crazy, but I mean, obviously, I'm as well like you, Mike. Big bow hunter. I shoot my bow about every time I'm down there, and I even when he wants to come out and pull the arrows out of the target, he's always wanting to pull them out. I got to help him, but like he wants to carry them. I'm like, biggest thing, like, okay, you point them down, you don't run with them, like simple things like that to where could bring in a huge factor to when you start introducing firearms to them as well too. So
yeah, it's funny because like even just like line safety, like like make sure everyone's done shooting their bow before, like stuff like that, things like that. Because man, like it's always that stupid thing that typically someone gets injured or someone gets hurt, and it's just that one thing that 1000% could have been avoided. So like it's just the little things I think is the it's just as important as the big stuff. And
Absolutely. It all is one big puzzle that comes together.
The little things lead to the big things is a thing. So
common sense isn't so common sometimes.
We lack it these days in this world, I feel like.
Yep. Absolutely agree there. So when did you get into archery?
So we're pushing almost on a close to a decade now. I mean, it's been about 10 years. I
Mhm.
came to it relatively late in life. So it's, once I got into it, like I said, like it's, so as a full time up until last week, I worked in mental health. So like,
Mhm.
you know, as a man, I think we're all taught and brought up to have a muzzle on. You don't talk about what
Yeah.
you're dealing with. You don't communicate how you feel. Like you
Your
just
problems don't matter, like just push through.
yeah. So like, being raised like everyone else, I think is, don't let me see you cry. Don't let me see you talk about it.
Mhm.
So I think for me getting into archery, like it was never really originally for hunting. It was just like, hey, I really like doing this, and this helps me not feel like I'm going to explode.
Decompress.
Yeah, and then so like, it segued over. All my friends hunt, a lot of my buddies would hunt. So finally it was like, hey, let's go out in the woods and let's shoot stuff. And like I was at the time I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. But it was, hey, here's a ladder stand. Sit here and just wait until something shows up. And then
Mhm.
believe it or not, like, dude, like I had no idea, but sure enough, a young doe comes out and I shot my first deer. Like, and it was just like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this is the most insane thing in the world. And then it was just it was an eye-opening experience. Even still, like archery is my big main priority thing. Like I love to hunt,
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, but like at the end of the day, like I shooting my bow, whether it be competitively, whether that
Mhm.
just recreationally, in my backyard. Like, dude, like if I couldn't have that, then I wouldn't want to hunt. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
for me, it holds hand in hand. I'm not one of those weird dudes that has this like I'm a bow hunter flex. It's just it's for me, it's a lot more than just that.
Mhm.
This is my piece.
Right.
It's mind numbing is almost what
Yeah,
I'd have to say. I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
You
the
mean you don't pull the bow out a week before season?
no,
If I hit a
no.
pipe plate, I'm ready to go.
I start shaking if I don't shoot my bow, but like for a week,
Dude,
honestly.
for sure,
I
for sure.
know.
You know, it's one of those deals. Like my wife will be like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I haven't shot my bow for like 3 days. Like,
Mhm.
let me go shoot a couple 20-yard shots, and I'll be okay."
Right.
Either this or I need to go to therapy. Like you gotta,
Yeah.
Therapy's expensive.
it's a lot more expensive than a bow. I'll tell you that.
Oh, it is. No, I can agree with you on that. So I know that.
I mean, not when you miss as many arrows as Andrew, but
Hey, don't be calling me out like that, okay?
so do you do a 3D paper, just
Uh,
backyard?
yeah, so I do a lot of. I wouldn't say a lot of anymore. Again, the dad thing.
Yes.
But yeah, so 3D is my big jam. Indiana's not a super huge competitive
Hmm.
state. Ohio's big, so I go over in Ohio and shoot pretty
Hmm.
frequently. But for the most part, I follow TAC. I love TAC. In fact, I think if the cards play out, I might actually drive down to Kentucky tomorrow
Hmm.
and shoot the Mountain Archery Fest.
Oh, nice.
Um, and then, so yeah, like I just TAC is kind of taking it by storm for me, just because like
Hmm.
it's pushing you to a different level. Like I know I can shoot a bow up to 250 or whatever, like that's not a problem. But like adding the element of like acclimation and climbing and adding endurance and
Hmm.
heart rate and also having a group of friends that are making fun of you
Right.
the whole time. Like so
No,
that
never.
element of it is just
Yeah,
so
Daniel.
consuming for me. I love that. I love going with a group of buddies. Everyone's having a good time.
Hmm.
We're all talking shit, but at the same time, we're also like, good shot. Like that was
Right.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Good job. You should be proud of yourself. Like it's just
Hmm.
that weird kind of it's just that weird friendship. And I'm sure everyone has that. You know what I mean? It's just, but that camaraderie is just awesome because it's not just us
Hmm.
in that group, it's everyone at that venue. And like every
Right.
year has that same drive, that same thing.
Hmm.
And to me, that's insane. I think total archery was the coolest thing that's happened to archery in the last decade.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to I'm going to my first one here June, I think is sounds in South Dakota. Got
South
signed up
Dakota.
for it. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going with a group of guys that go. I've been going for the last 4 or 5 years every year, and they're just like, dude, you're gonna have so much fun. They're like, you're gonna be
Dude, you'll
addicted
get hooked.
to it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's
So,
crazy. Like, I think, you always hear the story of, well, I started shooting 3D because I wanted to be a better hunter, or I wanted to be a more proficient archer. I think, like, yeah, that's true. Like, but at the same time, like, shooting ASA or IBO, like, I mean, your score rings are very seldom or actual in kill zone. So you're not really practicing a lethal shot. You're just shooting
precision, I guess.
Yeah. But like the cool thing about total archery, I think, is that like you learn what you're actually capable of in a real world situation. So, I mean, half the time, if your arrow even hits foam, that was a great shot. Like, it doesn't matter if it's like in the score range or not. If your arrow made it 140 yards over 2 ridge tops and crosswind, dude, yes, you nailed it. That's a great shot. I think, just learning what you're capable of, and like, man, like when you're shooting those distances or those super technical shots, 20 yards seems really close, and that deer seems really big. So like, I think that for me personally, total archery is just like, it really hones you and you realize what you're capable of. So that's what I take away from it. So that's always in the lingering aspect too. Like, this is a beneficial thing for me or anybody who is either getting into archery, seasoned veteran, but bow hunters, rifle hunters, just go. I think like, I mean, you're pushing yourself physically, you're pushing yourself mentally, and you're learning what you're capable of with a weapon. So.
Right.
So what you're saying is I definitely should bring some extra arrows with me.
Well, I mean, depends on how good you are, dude.
You should definitely bring. No, I mean, what?
Hey, I'm definitely bringing a couple dozen, but I have high hopes I'll be bringing a full dozen at least back home.
Yeah, man. Western events are different, man. Like Pennsylvania, Michigan. Well, it used to be Tennessee. I mean, like, just the topography here is just so different, as opposed to like, we went to Solitude, Utah, and like we went from being flat level ground to like 11,000 feet, and like it feels like you're breathing through a coffee straw. And like, how like when you get out of breath, you take a minute and you're like, you get your breathing right. Well, when you're at that height, you can't breathe. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. So you get that high up and you're hiking and shooting a bow, and dude, it's wild, man. And like, it opens your eyes to like, man, there's people out there that do this. I mean, mountain, like goat hunters, like, dude, that's nuts. Like, that's insane to me.
Lone Bow Hunter Chronicles, some rad dudes in this live. How are you doing tonight, brother?
It's even like the Colorado. I mean, anybody out in the mountains, chasing elk, chasing muleys, man. Like, hate to say it, like whitetail hunting's almost easy compared to some of that stuff. Yeah, dude, seriously.
Because like here, like, I'm sure where you guys are too, like mobile hunting has become a very big thing. Like, saddle hunting or whatever, hybrid, whatever. But man, like, you talk to these like West Coast dudes, like, I think, Mez Outdoors, Bow Disciples, like, they're all like West Coast dudes. Like, they're, my buddies, and talking to them, like, to get them to sit still in a tree for anything longer than 15 minutes is absurd.
Yeah,
like, that's insane for them to understand. But then we'll wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning and sit there in the dark for hours.
Yeah.
And sit there all day for hours.
Spot and stock. Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Living the dream, checking in on my guys. Thanks for popping in, buddy.
That'd be like them taking us out there and be like, all right, we're going to go hike, 5 miles today at 12,000 feet. And yeah, like you said, suck, air through a straw, more or less. So
yeah, we're going to climb this mountain so we can glass and see if we can find an elk within a mile. And then we're going to try working towards the elk, hoping it's still there. We're going to listen for some bugles. All right.
Yep. Yeah. Don't know. I did it. I did it. Yeah, exactly. And pack them back out those couple miles. Yeah, I did an elk hunt a few years ago with a buddy of mine, and I'm gonna tell you one thing: humbled, very, very humbled. I mean, because we went there a couple days early before the season started, and we had some some young bulls, screaming and going off. And we're like, oh yeah, we even saw one the evening before open. And 10 days later we had, of hunting coming down the mountain. We had not seen a single elk, and pretty much turned around and looked at my buddy. I said, you ready to head home? He's like, yep. And I don't think that truck saw under 80 on the way home because we're done with this. Like, I don't know if we want to come back and do it. I definitely do, but it's just humbled, man. It was very humbled.
Well, we're going, so better get it together, buddy.
Yeah, I'm building points. Don't you worry.
Maze Outdoorsman. I hunt at sea level with the ocean right there. Nice.
Yeah,
we're not far from it in Iowa.
I hunt, at cornfield level.
Like, yeah, I think we're only like 700 feet. I want to say we're not.
Yeah, we're not.
Nothing.
No. Our breathing is very easy here.
Oh yeah.
I mean, sometimes look at these hills, right, and they really take it out of you. But
a ridge.
Yeah, a speed bump. Like
yeah.
Like if you don't have at minimum 5 Little Debbies in your pack when you're whitetail hunting in the Midwest, you're not even a hunter.
I would argue that that's a low amount.
Good point.
Like you need a big pack, right? And you can have like a call, maybe strap some antlers to the side. With us, we have some camera gear, but if you don't have like 3 boxes of Little Debbies, like what are you doing with your life? I mean,
well, you're clearly not going to kill big deer if you're not eating that many.
No.
You got to get the Costco size, not just the regular Costco size.
Yeah.
Buy in bulk.
Corn level, love it. Yeah, quote it.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody care about sea level anymore. It's corn level.
Corn level.
All right. So, do you have any bucket list hunts?
Oh man, I don't know, dude. Like, there's. I think a red stag would be super cool. Like,
yes,
dude, a red stag. Like, and I'm sure it's overqualified, but dude, that is such a big animal, and I want to kill one.
Mm-hmm. Elk, red stag, bear.
Yeah,
I want to get all the above.
Yeah.
Bison would be cool, but I don't know, man. Like, I think it's like shooting fish in a barrel kind of thing, but I don't know. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I have no experience with.
Yeah. I think a bison would be cool too, but I mean, there's a couple other animals. A stag, man. I think
you're not at the top of the list. Yeah.
Stag is, it's definitely not at the top. Stag is it. I'd say, dude, moose would be a hard.
Yeah,
moose would be insane.
Moose. So I think my first of like the big game on the list is elk. Right. I feel like that's probably the more obtainable one out of the bunch, or at least maybe not the steepest monetary requirement out of the bunch, and start there. A moose is definitely on the list. I want bear. Red stag would be insane.
I'll have to get taller ceilings for a moose.
Dude, yeah.
Sodak, Horizon Outdoors. Bison would be amazing, but tame. Ground fog, hello. Welcome back. Elk for sure for me too, and they are a rush to hunt. Over-the-counter tags, easy to get in tons of places to hunt, for sure. So, Sodak in the name. Assuming I get drawn, I'll be up this fall for an over-the-counter mule deer hunt. So excited for that. Have never done that. I'm building points for Wyoming elk. And between now and then, since that'll probably be like 6 more years, who knows at this point if there's point creep, I want to do an over-the-counter elk hunt in like Colorado or wherever I can get my hands on one.
Nice.
Talking about dream hunt? Yes, we were talking about some bucket list hunts. Heck yes, we got some big ones. Awesome. Drop me your pins. What? So, the one, the only Mr. Bowtique. Let's give you a platform to talk about what you do and self-plug.
Yeah, man. So, as of this last February, we started the Boutique. The Boutique's kind of been around for a while. I did like custom arrow builds, bow builds, things like that, deep tuning. And then at some point, somehow it segued over to full custom arrow wraps. And so I do full custom arrow wraps for individuals. I do them for companies, bow shops, arrow builders. I prefer, like me as an arrow builder, I know what I want in an arrow wrap. I'm doing, I'm very humble. I do know that what I'm doing is substantially different than what everyone else is doing in this industry. Because man, like, going back to it, like archery is like, I guess when you talk about it as an industry, whether that be like target or hunting, like, everyone just has this like stereotypical idea that it's this like redneck dude with a mullet and he's out in the woods with, coveralls and like, dude, like, I think that my take on archery from the get-go was to like make this thing cool for especially like younger generation of kids.
Yeah. Bring in the new gen.
They're not going to do anything. They're not going to want to do something that is lame. And like to make it visually appealing is just the first step in the door to them realizing, well, the archery is really cool. And like I can also make my setup really cool. So for me, like, it's not for everybody. Like my designs are insane sometimes, but like it's still different than what everyone else is doing. And then, I'm able to, do things for people that they only thought were an idea. And that's like a very humbling thing too. Like I did one for a dude who lost his daughter and he wanted a cardinal. And like, dude, like at the time I didn't realize, but after I printed them off and sent them to his house, and he's like, dude, I got them. Here's the picture of them. Thank you so much. This is what this means to me. Dude, I broke down and cried. I was like, I just did this for this dude. And like, to me, it was just a random bird, you know what I mean? But like to him, it was his entire world. And like that was such
absolutely get that, dude.
Yeah, so that was such a huge thing. And like, seeing people like be like, man, like this just gets me so jazzed. I want to start shooting my bow because of like these designs you've made or you doing this. Like,
yes. As a content creator, I feel that because, we're just out here, like we post a lot of meme content and funny content just to kind of brighten people's days, right? But it hits hard when you have people message you or comment or whatever saying, hey, I've been going through some terrible times and you really helped me get through it. Dude, that has happened, more times than I can count on both hands. And it's so humbling. And it's like, this is why I love this. Like it may be dumb memes to some people, but other people, it could help them through something,
Yeah, dude.
So,
and that's always been the coolest thing. I mean, of course, like I'll get the random one that's like, I want butt cheeks on my, you know what I mean, or whatever. It's just something stupid. But like, man,
you're just gonna throw Andrew's request out there like that for everyone.
But no, it's just like yeah. So it could be something silly like that, but whatever it takes to get people to really enjoy it and get them into it, I'm all for it. And like I'm all for this whole like archery awareness thing where it's like it's not about just shooting deer. Like this helps me mentally with mental health. It helps me physically. Like there's no downside to shooting a bow other than sometimes price to get into it. But like,
dude, if you compare though shooting a bow to like shooting a gun, at least most of the time you can walk down and grab your arrow and shoot it again. Like even reloading ammo fucking sucks. Like
yes.
Yeah. And it's good overall. I mean, it's good for it's good to have a hobby. It's
good for all ages. I've been out at the range and I've seen 5-year-olds shooting and I've seen freaking 80-year-olds shooting and everyone in between, boys, girls, like everyone can do it.
Yeah, for sure. And like, it's again, it just builds such great, just mental strength. Like, you really learn what you're capable of. And it segues to other avenues in your life. And I think it's a good thing.
Okay. Let's see comments here. Man, you guys are going to go straight to his ego. Boutique's got some baller wraps. Boutique wraps are the best. Let's see. Over here. I know I saw a comment slide by the Arrow Rap Wizard.
Back on.
Right to the ego, guys.
No, my head doesn't even fit the screen anymore.
DJ Mepo, can you shoot does this time of year in Iowa? Nope.
Oh.
Fall, it ends like January 10th.
Yeah.
If you're,
Yeah. Urban
And
goes a little
then-
bit later, but
yeah, turkey season's finally here. Yes, it is.
mhm.
I will probably be out Saturday.
Same.
Jealous.
I got a 5-year-old and 3-year-old shooter.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Where
Gotta
can
say,
people find you? Yeah, go ahead, Andrew. And then
I
we're
was
going to
just
ask
gonna
where
say
people can find him.
The Cardinal thing's really cool, man. I can relate to that just a little bit with my uncle who passed away right around COVID time. The one I take care of his land, man. Quick short story. I not even joking. It was a few years ago hunting some public. I ended up being a button buck, but I thought it was a doe coming in trying to fill a bow tag or a late season mud. I think it was my statewide bow tag, just not having any good luck. Just wanting to fill the freezer and kind of just said a little prayer, honestly, just kind of talking to my uncle, and not even joking. A cardinal had came in and landed, 5 feet away from me, looked at me, and I looked over, and there's a deer walking in. And you, like they've always said, spirits come back, and cardinals is what I've been told from multiple people. And I've had a couple experiences with cardinals before with stuff like that. And it's just, that's really neat. Honestly, that's a little choking to me, honestly.
Yeah. So. To me, dude, and it was such a new thing. Like I said, I never knew, like I knew that, some things represent death or life or whatever the case may be. I didn't quite realize, I've seen, of course, like a memorial with cardinals, but I really connected the two dots until that gentleman, had mentioned that this is from my daughter who passed away. And, he went on to talk about how his grandpa told him that, when his wife died, that, he every time he would see a cardinal, it reminded him of his wife. And it's like all the dots clicked, man. And dude, like it shook me to my core. Like I did such a good thing for this person and I charged him, and I felt terrible about that. But like, it was, it was one of those things where just seeing that meant so much to him. And like doing that was, it makes it worth it. And that segues to all the other stuff, but it's, things like that, just seeing people's ideas coming to life and I'm able to do that for them. Like, dude, that's so, it's so rewarding.
Amazing. It's really amazing, honestly. That's like, every time I even go down to my farm, there's an older farmhouse that we're able to, it makes it nice to be able to stay down there and everything. But this is no joke, but every time I before I walk out and lock the door, I always say, thanks, Sid. See you around here soon. And I want to say it was last year, right around this time. I know I have a video. I have to look on the video, but did that, and I walked out to my truck, sat in my truck, and I don't get great signal on my phone there, but like for some reason, right where I sit in my truck, I get decent cell signal. And I was just going through a few things, text messages, stuff, and I looked up, and not even joking, my uncle was he was kind of like you. He's like, if he had to pick between turkeys or whitetails, he'd pick turkeys all day. He loved turkey hunting, and not even joking, I think it was 8 to a dozen hens came out straight in front of me. And one was almost standing on the little porch to go to the front door. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure there was a bearded hen out there too. But just one of those super special moments. I'm just like, that's him. Like, that's him right there. Like starting to choke up. I even end up calling my mom on the drive home to tell her, because I was her brother, and be like, you wouldn't believe what just happened. And I had to pull over for a few minutes because I was just starting to lose it for a little bit, because I just knew, like, he was just checking in, saying what's up type of deal. So
yeah, it's always crazy how things like that play out, dude. It's like it's undisputable that it was something outside of what we can comprehend that was going on. And like so it's super rad. And like, again, it's one of those things where, like the other day, like there was a guy who requested, his dad is in Space Force, which is insane within itself.
Crazy.
Space Force wraps for my dad. I was like,
Mhm.
yes, let's do that.
Absolutely.
That's way sick.
He was, just super cool, super easy to work with. And it's just like, I mean, dude, you can't get on Amazon and just get like type in Space Force Aero wraps. Like, you know what I mean? So just being able to provide that kind of service for people is just so cool, dude. And like meet like people I've met, like, doing the work is cool, but dude, meeting, all these different people along the way, man, that's the real piece, I think. It's just like becoming just so like meeting all these new people like you guys, and
That's why I love this podcast.
yeah.
Well, it's just cool to see how little you can touch someone so little, but it's just such a huge impact on what you're doing. So I mean, it's just truly amazing.
Just the connection you can build with strangers and like the same, like similar fields and interests. Like you will form bonds with these strangers and like become friends with them sometimes quicker than people you've known your whole lives will like support or hop in, like it's absolutely insane. And it's so cool just getting to network with different people in the industry.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, like, it's easy to talk about how, like, cancerous and toxic, the hunting industry can be. But, like, a lot of times,
it's wholesome too.
We forget about how, at the end of the day, we're all here because we share the same love and passion for all of these things that we, a lot of time forget is, this is why we're doing this. We love hunting. We love shooting a bow or shooting a gun, whatever the case may be. Like, we love doing it. Which has led us to where we're at right now with where we're at in this industry or where you're at in your own personal journey. Like, I think it's awesome. But then, there are the bad.
It's easier. Yeah, it's easier for bad memories to like stick at the top of your mind versus like what like genuine, cool, wholesome things have happened. Like,
yeah, and great, phenomenal human beings that you meet on this journey. So,
So hypothetically, right? Would you have some sort of cool, like glow in the dark, maybe orange wrap teaser laying around somewhere? You're like, great. Where the hell did I put that?
Dude. Let me see. Dude, I don't think I do. I do have a picture of it on my phone. Maybe. Hold on.
Got some in your garage. I don't think you have exactly these ones in your garage.
No, dude, I don't know.
Let's see.
It was a test print.
A
lot of the test
Instagram.
Was it on Instagram?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh no, I think I lost you guys. Oh no.
Nope, I just maximized you.
Oh, I got you. Okay, here one.
Let's go.
Let me turn this off. Dude, it's so bright.
It's so hard to see.
All right, so this is it during daylight. Let me turn this straight.
So we can post a story after too.
Yeah, dude, that's probably gonna be the best way to do it. It's just a random bright light showing, but
right.
But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I do have some I could probably show off. They're not yours, but
long story short, glow in the dark veganless wraps are coming.
Yeah,
top of the design.
Cannot wait. I got a dozen arrows sitting here ready to have them put on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As soon as this podcast is done, I am going to press print. I got a lot of printing to do tonight. So your guys is going to be going on there, and then they'll be out the door tomorrow.
Perfect.
Sick. Looking forward to
Where can they find you? So, yeah.
So I have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. My website is thebowtique.org. I do all my designs are on there. You can just hit me up if you're wanting individual design. My email's on my website. It's on my TikTok. I have a TikTok shop as well. So yeah, there's plenty of avenues. Just it's the Bowtique on those different socials.
Yes, be sure to go follow him. And if you haven't already, I mean, you're living under a rock, but be sure to follow Veganless on all platforms. It's Veganless TV on Instagram, but it's Veganless on most other ones. This live streams on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram each week. And then after the live stream, things get thrown off to podcast land. So Apple Music, Shopify, Google Podcasts, so on and so forth. And then the video format of this lives on our YouTube channel. So be sure to beat that follow button like it owes you money. Hang out, hop in for more. So on that note, take care, guys. Peace out.